Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11, Chapter 24, The Philosophy of Sankhya. In this chapter, Lord Krishna gives instruction how bewilderment of the mind can be dispelled by the science of Sankhya. Herein, the Supreme Lord again imparts to Uddhava instruction about the analysis of material nature. By assimilating this knowledge, the spirit soul can drive away his confusion based on false dualities. In the beginning of creation, the seer and sin are one and indistinguishable. This supreme absolute truth, one without a second, and inaccessible to words and mind, then separates into two: the seer, which means consciousness or personality, and the sin, which means substance or nature. The material nature, which comprises the three modes of matter, is agitated by the controlling male factor. The Mahatattva then becomes manifest together with the energies of consciousness and activity. From this come the principle of false ego in its three aspects of goodness, passion, and ignorance. From false ego in the mode of ignorance arise 15 subtle forms of sense perception, followed by the 15 physical elements. From false ego in the mode of passion come the 10 senses, and from false ego in the mode of goodness come the mind and the 11 demigods, who preside over the senses. By the conglomeration of all of these elements grows the universal egg, in the midst of which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the creating Lord of the universe, takes up residence in the role of indwelling super soul. From the navel of this ultimate creator comes a lotus upon which Brahma takes birth. Lord Brahma, invested with the mode of passion, executes austerities by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and on the strength of these penances he is able to create all the planets of the universe. The region of heaven is meant for the demigods, that of inner space for ghostly spirits, and that of the earth for human beings and others. In the region above these three planetary systems are the places of advanced sages, and in the lower worlds are those of the demons, Naga, serpents, and so forth. The goals achieved by activities based on the three modes of material nature are all within the three mortal worlds. The destinations of yoga, severe austerity, and the renounced order of life are the worlds known as Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya. The goal of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, on the other hand, is the lotus feet of the Personality of Godhead in his abode, Vaikuntha. This universe of material action and reaction is constituted under the control of time and the three modes of material nature. Moreover, whatever exists in this universe is simply the product of the combination of material nature and her Lord. In the same way that creation proceeds gradually from the one and supremely subtle to the multitudinous and very gross, the process of annihilation proceeds from the grossest to the subtlest manifestation of nature, leaving only the eternal spiritual substance. This ultimate soul remains situated within himself alone and without end. The mind of a person who meditates on these ideas does not become bewildered by material dualities. This science of Sankhya, narrated in alternating sequences of creation and annihilation, serves to cut off all doubts and bondage. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Athate Sampravakshami Sankyam Purvair Vinishchitam Yat Vigyaya Puman Sadyo Jahyat Vaikalpikam Brahmam. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna said, "Now I shall describe to you the science of Sankhya, which has been perfectly established by ancient authorities. By understanding this science, a person can immediately give up the illusion of material duality." Purport. In the previous chapter, the Lord explained that one can give up material duality by controlling the mind and fixing it in Krishna consciousness. This chapter describes the Sankhya system, in which the difference between matter and spirit is elaborately explained. By hearing this knowledge, one can easily separate the mind from material contamination and fix it on the spiritual platform in Krishna consciousness. The Sankhya philosophy system mentioned here is that presented by Lord Kapila in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and not the atheistic Sankhya presented later by materialists and Mayavadis. The material elements which emanate from the potency of the Lord evolve in a progressive sequence. One should not foolishly think that such evolution begins from an original material element without the assistance of the Lord. This speculative theory is generated from the false ego of conditioned life and constitutes gross ignorance unacceptable to the personality of Godhead and his followers. Text 2. Ashit yanam atho artha ekam eva vikalpitam yada viveka nipuna Adau Krita Yuge Yuge. Translation. Originally, during the Krita Yuga, when all men were very expert in spiritual discrimination, and also previous to that, during the period of annihilation, the seer existed alone, none different from the seen objects. Purport. Krita Yuga is the first stage, also known as Satya Yuga, in which knowledge being perfect is not different from its object. In modern society, knowledge is highly speculative and constantly changing. There is often a vast difference between people's theoretical ideas and actual reality. In Satya Yuga, however, people are viveka nipunaha, or expert in intelligent discrimination, and thus there is no difference between their vision and reality. In Satya Yuga, the population in general is self-realized. Seeing everything as the potency of the Supreme Lord, they do not artificially create duality between themselves and other living entities. This is a further aspect of the oneness of Satya Yuga. At the time of annihilation, everything merged to rest within the Lord, and at that time also there is no difference between the Lord, who becomes the only seer, and the object of knowledge, which are contained within the Lord. The liberated living entities in the eternal spiritual world are never subject to such merging but remain forever undisturbed in their spiritual forms. Because they are voluntarily one with the Lord in love, their abode is never annihilated. Text 3. Tanmaya phala rupena kevalam nirvikalpitam vanmano gocharam satyam dvidha Bhavat Prihat. Translation. That one absolute truth, remaining free from material dualities and inaccessible to ordinary speech and mind, divided himself into two categories, the material nature and the living entities, who are trying to enjoy the manifestations of that nature. Purport. Both material nature and the living entity are potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 4. Tayoreka taro hi artaha prakriti sopayatmika yanam tvanyatmano bhavaha purushaha sopitiyate. Translation. Of these two categories of manifestation, one is material nature, which embodies both the subtle causes and manifest products of matter. The other is the conscious living entity designated as the enjoyer. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Prakriti here refers to the subtle pradhana, which later becomes manifest as Mahatattva. Text 5. Tamo rajaha sattvamiti prakritira bhavam gunaha maya prakshopyamana yaha purushanumate cha. Translation. When material nature was agitated by my glance, the three material modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, became manifest to fulfill the pending desires of the conditioned souls. Purport. The Lord casts his glance over material nature to remind her that the conditioned souls have not worked out their chain of fruit of activity and mental speculation, and that creation is therefore again necessary. The Lord desires that the conditioned souls get the opportunity to become Krishna conscious in love of Godhead by understanding the futility of life without the Lord. The modes of nature arise after the glance of the Lord and become inimical to one another. each mode attempting to conquer the other two. There is constant competition between birth maintenance and annihilation. Although a child desires to take birth, the cruel mother may desire to kill the child through abortion. Although we may desire to kill the weeds in a field, they stubbornly take birth again and again. Similarly, we often desire to maintain our physical status quo, but still deterioration sets in. Thus there is constant competition among the modes of nature, and by their combinations and permutations the living entities try to enjoy innumerable material situations without Krishna consciousness. The word Purushanumatena indicates that the Lord sets the stage for such material futility, so that the conditioned souls will eventually come back home, back to Godhead. Text 6. Tebhah samabhava sutram mahan sutrena samyutaha tato vikurvato jato yohan karo vimohanaha. Translation. From these modes arose the primeval sutra, along with the Mahatattva. By the transformation of the Mahatattva was generated the false ego. The cause of the living entity is bewilderment. From these modes arose the primeval sutra, along with the Mahatattva. By the transformation of the Mahatattva was generated the false ego. The cause of the living entity is bewilderment. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Sutra is the first transformation of material nature that manifests the potency of activity, and it is accompanied by the Mahatattva, which is endowed with the potency of knowledge. In the material world, one's real knowledge is covered by fruitive activity and mental speculation. As one's devotional service to the Lord slackens, these two tendencies grow automatically, just as the diminishing of light automatically brings an increase in darkness. Text 7. Vaikarikas taijasascha tamasaschityaham trivrit tanmatrendriya manasam karanam chid achinmayaha. Translation. False ego, which is the cause of physical sensation. The senses and the mind encompasses both spirit and matter and manifests in three varieties in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport. The word chit achinmaya, encompassing both spirit and matter, is significant in this regard. The false ego is the illusory combination of the eternal conscious soul and the temporary unconscious body. Because the spirit soul desires to exploit illicitly the creation of God, he is bewildered by the three modes of nature and assumes an illusory identity within the material world. Struggling to enjoy, he becomes more and more entangled in the complexities of illusion and only increases his anxiety. This hopeless situation can be overcome by taking to pure Krishna consciousness, in which the pleasure of the Supreme Lord becomes the only goal of one's life. Text 8. Artastan matrikaya yagya tamasat indriyaini cha taijasat devata asan ekadasha cha vaikritat. Translation. From false ego in the mode of ignorance came the subtle physical perceptions from which the gross elements were generated. From false ego in the mode of passion came the senses, and from false ego in the mode of goodness arose the 11 demigods. Purport. From false ego in the mode of ignorance, sound is generated along with the sense of hearing to receive it, and the sky is as its medium. Next, the sensation of touch, air, and the sense of touch are generated, and thus from subtle to gross all of the elements and their perceptions are generated. The senses, because they are busily engaged in activity, are created from false ego, the mode of passion. From false ego in goodness come 11 demigods, the deities of the directions, the wind and the sun, Varuna, the Ashwini deities, Agni, Indra, Upendra, Mitra, Brahma, and Chandra. Text 9. Maya sanchodita bhavaha sarve samhatyakarinah andam utpadayam asur mama yattanam uttamam. Translation: impelled by me, all these elements combined to function in an orderly fashion and together gave birth to the universal egg, which is my excellent place of residence. Text 10. Tasminnaham samabhavam ande salila samstitav mama napyam abhut padmam Vishvakyam tatra chatma bhuhu. Translation: I myself appeared within that egg, which was floating on the causal water, and from my navel arose the universal lotus, the birthplace of self-born Brahma. Purport: the Supreme Lord here describes his appearance in his transcendental pastime form of Sri Narayana. Lord Narayana enters within the universe but does not give up his purely transcendental body of knowledge and bliss. Lord Brahma, however, born from the Lord's navel lotus, has a material body. Although Lord Brahma is the most powerful mystic, his body, which pervades all material existence, is material, whereas the body of the Supreme Lord Hari, Narayana, is always transcendental. Text 11. So srijat tapasa yukto rajasa mad anugrahat lokan sappalan vishvatma bhuvan svariti tridha. Translation: Lord Brahma, the soul of the universe, being endowed with the mode of passion, performed great austerities by my mercy, and thus created the three planetary divisions called Bhur, Bhuvar, and Swar, along with their presiding deities. Text 12. Devanam mokashitsvar bhutanam cha bhuvah padam martyadinam cha bhurlokaha sithanam tritayat param. Translation: Heaven was established as the residence of the demigods, Burloka as that of the ghostly spirits, and the earth system as the place of human beings and other mortal creatures. Those mystics who strive for liberation are promoted beyond these three divisions. Purport: planets such as Indraloka and Chandraloka are meant for the heavenly enjoyment of the most pious fruit workers. The highest four planets, however, Satyaloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, and Tapaloka, are meant for those who are most perfectly endeavoring for liberation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so inconceivably merciful that he is promoting the most fallen victims of Kali Yuga beyond these four planets, and even beyond Vaikuntha to the supreme planet of Lord Krishna in the spiritual sky, called Goloka Vrindavana. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that heaven is the residence of the demigods, the earth is the residence of the human beings, and in between is a temporary residence for both classes of beings. Text 13. Atho suranam naganam bhumeroko srijat prabhu Trilokyam Gatayah Sarvaha Karmanam Trigunatmanam. Translation: Lord Brahma created the region below the earth for the demons and the Naga snakes. In this way, the destinations of the three worlds were arranged as the corresponding reactions for different kinds of work performed within the three modes of nature. Text 14. Yogasya tapasaschaiva Nyasasya gatayo malaha maharjanastapa satyam bhakti yogasya matgatihi. Translation: by mystic yoga, great austerities, and the renounced order of life, the pure destinations of Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka are attained. But by devotional yoga, one achieves my transcendental abode. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that the word tapasaha in this verse refers to austerities performed by brahmacharis and vanaprasthas. A brahmachari who practices celibacy perfectly in some particular stage of his life achieves mahaloka, and one who perfectly practices lifelong celibacy achieves janaloka. By perfect execution of vanaprastha, one may achieve tapaloka, and one in the renounced order of life goes to satyaloka. These different destinations certainly depend on one's seriousness in the yoga system. In the third canto of the Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma explains to the demigods: the inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis lazuli, emeralds, and gold. Although crowded by their consorts who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. Thus, in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God, the inhabitants have absolutely no desire for personal satisfaction, since they are completely satisfied in love of Godhead. Because they only think of the Lord's pleasure, there is no possibility of cheating, anxiety, lust, disappointment, and so on. As described in Bhagavad Gita 18.62, Tammeva sharanam gacha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat paraham shantim sthanam prapsasi shashvatam. A sign of Bharata. Surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Text 15. Maya kalatmana dhatra karma yukta midam jagat guna pravaha etasmin unmajjati nimajjati. Translation. All results of fruitful work have been arranged within this world by me. The Supreme Creator acting as the force of time, thus one sometimes rises up toward the surface of this mighty river of the modes of nature and sometimes again submerged. All results of fruitful work have been arranged within this world by me. The Supreme Creator acting as the force of time, thus one sometimes rises up toward the surface of this mighty river of the modes of nature and sometimes again submerged. Purport. Unmajjati refers to one's promotion to the higher planetary systems as mentioned in previous verses, and Nimajjati refers to being submerged in a miserable condition of life by impious activities. In both cases, one is drowning within the mighty river of material existence, which carries one far away from one's real home in the kingdom of God. Text 16. Anurbrihat krishaha stulo yo bhavaha prasidyati sarvopi ubhaya samyuktaha prakritya purushena cha. Translation. Whatever features visibly exist within this world, small or great, thin or stout, certainly contain both the material nature and its enjoyer, the spirit soul. Text 17. Yastu yasyadir antascha savai matyam cha tasya san vikaro vyavahararto yatha taijasa parthivaha. Translation. Gold and earth are originally existing as ingredients. From gold one may fashion golden ornaments such as bracelets and earrings, and from earth one may fashion clay pots and saucers. The original ingredients, gold and earth, exist before the products made from them, and when the products are eventually destroyed, the original ingredients, gold and earth, will remain. Thus, since the ingredients are present in the beginning and at the end, they must also be present in the middle phase, taking the form of a particular product to which we assign, for convenience, a particular name, such as bracelet, earring, or pot or saucer. We can therefore understand that since the ingredient cause exists before the creation of a product and after the product's destruction, the same ingredient cause must be present during the manifest phase, supporting the product as the basis of its reality. Purport. The Lord here explains that the original cause is certainly present in its effect, citing the example of gold and clay functioning as the causal ingredient of many different products in which gold and clay continue to be present for our conveniences. We assign different names to temporary products, although their essential nature continues to be that of the ingredient and not of the temporary product. Text 18. Yat upadaya purvastu bhavo vikurute param adir anto yadayasya tat satyam abhithiyate. Translation. A material object, itself composed of an essential ingredient, creates another material object through transformation. Thus one created object becomes the cause and basis of another created object. A particular thing may thus be called real in that it possesses the basic nature of another object that constitutes its origin and final state. Purport. One may understand the purport of this verse through the simple analogy of a clay pot. A clay pot is formed from a lump of clay which is itself prepared from the earth. In this case, earth is the original ingredient forming the clay lump, and the earth lump is in a sense the original cause of the pot. When the pot is destroyed, it will again assume the designation clay and ultimately merge back into the earth, its original cause. In relation to the clay pot, clay is the beginning and final state. Thus the pot is called real, for it possesses the essential characteristics of clay, which exist before and after the existence of the functioning instrument known as the pot. Similarly, earth exists before and after the clay, and thus clay may be considered real because it possesses the essential characteristics of earth which exist before and after the existence of the clay. Similarly, earth and other elements are created from the Mahatattva, which exists before and after the existence of the elements, which may be considered real because they possess the essential characteristics of the Mahatattva. The Mahatattva is ultimately the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, who exists after all is annihilated. The Absolute Truth is the Supreme Lord Himself, who step by step gives meaning and character to all that exists. Text 19. Prakritiriyasyopadanam adharaha purushaha paraha satobhivyajakah kalo brahmatatritayam tvaham. Translation. The material universe may be considered real, having nature as its original ingredient and final state. Lord Mahavishnu is the resting place of nature, which becomes manifest by the power of time. Thus nature, the Almighty Vishnu, and time are not different from me, the Supreme Absolute Truth. The material universe may be considered real, having nature as its original ingredient and final state. Lord Mahavishnu is the resting place of nature, which becomes manifest by the power of time. Thus nature, the Almighty Vishnu, and time are not different from me, the Supreme Absolute Truth. Purport. Material nature is the energy of the Lord. Mahavishnu is his plenary portion, and time represents the Lord's activity. In this way, time and nature are always subservient to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates, maintains, and annihilates all that exists through the agency of his potencies and plenary portions. In other words, Lord Krishna is the Absolute Truth because he contains all existence within himself. Text 20. Sargaha pravartate tavat paurvaparena nityasaha mahan guna visargartha stiti anto yavadikshanam. Translation: as long as the Supreme Personality of Godhead continues to glance upon nature, the material world continues to exist, perpetually manifesting through procreation the great and variegated flow of universal creation. Purport: although the Mahatattva impelled by the force of time is the ingredient cause of this world, it is clearly explained here that the Supreme Lord is personally the only ultimate cause of all that exists. Time and nature are powerless to act without the glance of the Personality of Godhead. He creates unlimited material variety for the sense gratification of the conditioned souls, who try to enjoy life as the children of particular parents and as the parents of particular children throughout the 8,400,000 species of life. Text 21. Viranmaya satyamano lokakalpa vikalpaha panchatvaya visheshaya kalpate bhuvanaihi saha. Translation: I am the basis of the universal form which displays endless variety through repeated creation, maintenance, and destruction of the planetary systems. Originally containing within itself all planets in this dormant state, my universal form manifests the varieties of created existence by arranging the coordinated combination of the five elements. Purport: according to Srila Sridhar Swami, the word Maya refers to the Lord in his form as eternal time. Texts 22 to 27. Anye praliyate martyam annam dana suliyate dana bhumau praliyante bhumirgante praliyate apsu praliyate gantha apascha sarvagunirase liyate jyotishiraso jyotirupe praliyate रूपं वायौ स च स्पर्शे लीयते सोऽपि चम्बरे अम्बरं शब्दतन्मात्रा इन्द्रियाणि स्वयोनिषु योनिर्वैकारिके सौम्या लीयते मनसीश्वरे शब्दो भूतादिम् अप्यति भूतादिर्महति प्रभुः सलीयते महान्स्वेषु गुणेषु गुणवत्तमः ते व्यक्ते सम्प्रलीयन्ते तत्काले लीयते व्यये कालो मायामये जीवे जीव आत्मनि मयि अजे आत्मा केवल आत्मस्थो विकल्पापाय लक्षणः. Translation: at the time of annihilation, the mortal body of the living being becomes merged into food, food merged into the grains, and the grains merge back into the earth merged into its subtle sensation, fragrance merged into water, and water further merged into its own quality, taste. That taste merged into fire, which merged into form merged into touch, and touch merged into ether finally merged into the sensation of sound. The senses all merge into their own origins, the presiding demigods, and they, O gentle Uddhava, merge into the controlling mind, which itself merged into false ego in the mode of goodness. Sound becomes one with false ego in the mode of ignorance, and all-powerful false ego, the first of all the physical elements, merge into the total nature. The total material nature, the primary repository of the three basic modes, dissolves into the modes. These modes of nature then merge into the unmanifest form of nature, and that unmanifest form merges into time. Time merged into the Supreme Lord, present in the form of the omniscient Mahapurusha, the original activator of all living entities. That origin of all life merged into me, the unborn Supreme Soul, who remains alone, establishing established within himself. It is from him that all creation and annihilation are manifested. Purport. The annihilation of the material world is the reversal of the process of creation, and ultimately everything is merged to rest within the Supreme Lord, who remains full in his absolute position. Text 28. Evam anvikshamanasya katham vaikalpiko brahmaha manaso hridi tishteta vyomnivarkodayetamaha. Translation. Just as the rising sun removes the darkness of the sky, similarly this scientific knowledge of cosmic annihilation removes all illusory duality from the mind of a serious student. Even if illusion somehow enters his heart, it cannot remain there. Purport. Just as the brilliant sun removes all darkness from the sky, a clear understanding of the knowledge spoken by Lord Krishna to Uddhava removes all ignorance concocted by the material mind. One will then no longer accept the material body as the self, even if such illusion temporarily manifests within one's consciousness. It will be driven away by the resurgence of one's spiritual knowledge. Text 29. Esha sankhya vidhihi proktaha samshaya granti bhedanaha pratilomapyam paravaradrisha maya. Translation. Thus I, the perfect seer of everything material and spiritual, have spoken this knowledge of Sankhya, which destroys the illusion of doubt by scientific analysis of creation and annihilation. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna has explained that the material mind accepts and rejects many different concepts of life, generating innumerable false arguments about the actual process of perfection. But a person who takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can see everything with clear intelligence. One who understands how the Supreme Lord creates and annihilates can be liberated from material bondage and devote himself to the eternal service of the Supreme Lord. Thus ends the purport of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th Canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Philosophy of Sankhya.